Good morning, it's Yvonne here to do the readings for the fire signs, and this will be for the lovely sign of Aries. Aries, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love to have you on board. Please keep in mind these readings are only general. That means if it doesn't resonate with you, it's not your reading. Doesn't fit, don't wear it. This is where you learn to use your intuition and understand that a reading is not for you. I'm not really sure why people do it. It's got me a little bit baffled, but don't force yourself to watch something if it doesn't feel like yours. All right, we are going to use the Jeu de Vivre Tarot for your reading, which is such a beautiful deck and an absolute pleasure to shuffle. And we'll see where we're going with this. Okay, so we have the World coming out. All right, nice energy. Now, if you're in a place where you can travel, I'd be saying you're off around the world on some sort of trip here. Sometimes it can talk about distance between people, but for me, most of the time, this means that there is some sort of cycle you're coming through and you're about to walk into a new energy. What does that mean? You could be finishing out a job, a relationship, just a stage in your life here and be ready to move to the next stage. You've accomplished all the lessons that came before this. And this generally means that you have something new that you're starting on. It could mean that you are moving into a time of being single, you're moving into a partnership, you could be moving on a new job, but whatever it is, some sort of new start's coming in for you here. Now I have the Seven of Cups here, and I want to say with this particular energy, this seems to me like it's like you're walking out of something and now all these opportunities are being presented to you. And you may be feeling a little overwhelmed by the amount of opportunities, so it would make sense if you were coming out of a relationship that you have opportunities. Sorry, I need to put that cushion under my bottom. Since I've lost all the weight, it's like I've got a bony bum. The Seven of Cups is very much an energy of having a lot of things to look forward to, but also this energy of not really being sure what those things are at this point in time, but also being careful about how you manage those and what you choose. You've definitely completed some sort of ending here. We have the Nine of Wands and the Ten of Swords. Okay, so I'm feeling like you've completed something, but you're being very cautious about what you choose next here, because I feel like whatever you finished here caused you a great deal of pain. So that would make sense if you've come out of a very negative relationship or even a negative job where perhaps you have not been treated in a way that was fair or right, because I see you being very cautious now. This is the Wounded Warrior card. Okay, so it could be possible that you've been in situations that have not necessarily given back. This can mean sometimes being in situations where you've invested a lot of time and energy, whether that is work or relationship, but you're not receiving back what you feel that you're entitled to. So sometimes we work for jobs and we feel that the job is very thankless. We don't get recognised for our hard work. We don't get recognised for the extra hours or whatever else we're putting in. But sometimes it can be a relationship too, where you've been over investing your energy, because somehow or another you have to find balance before you move forward, because you're moving away from something that you're not emotionally satisfied by. So I feel like you're being especially cautious now about what you take next. But I do feel you have a lot of opportunities open to you. So whether this is love interests or whether it is jobs, it's like everything's going to come at you full force, but you're not going to really know what's best or what's best for you. And we don't. You can't predict the future, because very often we have lessons to learn from that. So, we can see a certain amount looking forward, but if we're not compliant or we don't learn what we need to learn, sometimes we end up with that World card going around again and repeating a cycle. And that's not something you want to do. Otherwise, you can keep going round and round and round with that Nine of Wands without actually learning what you're meant to learn. And I always say that can be sort of going to the same job over and over again, or being in a relationship where you just keep ending up with the same person who has a different face, which means that you're not learning the lessons here. So I feel like this time you're realizing something. I think you've been doing that in the past. and maybe not picking things that are right for yourself. But I feel like this time around you're aware of your choices. All right, let's have a look where we're going. Two of Swords. Yeah, there's some sort of decision you need to make here. The Two of Swords in the traditional deck has a person with the swords across their heart. What this means is this person is trying to make a decision knowing that one of those swords has to go, or that one of the choices has to go. But the swords represent clarity, communication. They can also represent cutting something out. So maybe you're deciding here what sort of things you can cut out and what sort of things you can take on. And I feel like you need to do this more strategically, because I feel like you've walked away from something, or maybe more than one thing, where you really haven't made the best decision with these swords on your own behalf. That's what I want to say. Let's see where we're going here. We don't always pick what is right for us. But if we don't pick what's right, we have a lesson to learn. All right, so we have the Magician coming through. I love this because you're really taking the power on here with the Empress. Very nice. Okay, and the Wheel, Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune, you have 3 major arcanas coming through here. So very important lesson you've learned here. I feel like here there is this energy here of the universe moving you into a new time. So I want to say to you, if you were worried about completing a cycle and whether you've learned the lesson from the last cycle, I would say to you, absolutely here. I see a rebirth. I see you bringing something new into the world because you're understanding now what you've manifested in the past hasn't served you. But I also feel with the Wheel of Fortune that you're going to get a lot more opportunities open to you because you've understood this process. Nice energy. All right, so 2 of Cups coming through. I think for many of you it's about love. 8 of Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles. So you may have been in situations where you haven't chosen right for yourself, but I feel like this time around, maybe you're starting to understand your part in this. I feel like for some of you it may be about asserting your own needs or loving yourself. Sometimes we keep repeating a pattern because we don't know how to speak up for ourselves, or we're so busy pleasing others that we forget that we need things in our lives too. And I feel very strongly here that you have been doing this over and over again, perhaps with love interests where you have overgiven to the relationship and found that the other person has become toxic. You could have been bringing in very narcissistic people or very selfish people, because I see you changing the way you're doing things here. This is about you understanding that you put in the work you put in, but that you have an expectation that the person you're dealing with is putting in the work they need to too. So you're no longer going to be fooled into constantly investing in something that isn't giving you back. What I love here is you have a soulmate coming in, and this time this soulmate is going to show you how when you invest in somebody, they invest back in you. There is a really big lesson here that you've learned. I feel like you've seen it this time around. 5 of Wands. It doesn't mean that you're not still conflicted. 3 of Cups coming through with the 4 of Swords. Okay, there is still some healing to be done here. But what I feel like this time you're doing it in a very different way. So maybe you're a person who's bounced in and out of relationships and not really finding the type of relationship that's good for you. Maybe you are investing, say, for example, material in a relationship, but not giving the person the love or the respect they need. And then they are moving away from the relationship because they don't feel appreciated. Now, this could be you as well, but there's a real imbalance here in how you see relationships. And sometimes that can be because of the way we've been raised or how our parents related to each other. And many of us have come from a time where people stayed in relationships regardless of whether they were happy or not, because they believed that a relationship was something that once they committed to it, they had to stay in forever. That's a limiting belief. And a lot of people do that with jobs as well. So they get into jobs, the job is really overtaxing, they don't feel appreciated, they may be working with someone who's bullying them, but they have this idea that the job has to go that way because they're going to be in a job for life. Again, it's an old-fashioned belief, and we're changing those beliefs. Most people will have several jobs in their lifetime. There is something here that you have been led to believe, or that you've been role modeled. Let's say the example of a relationship where you have to stay in relationships regardless of how you've been treated. And to be honest with you, I've seen people in very abusive relationships who are either worried to leave because they don't trust that they can do things by themselves, but very often have families that are saying to them, no, you can't leave this relationship, and they will listen to their family. There is something like that going on for you here that you've endured perhaps more than once. So I may be speaking to people who've had more than one situation, but I'm feeling like now you have completed something, and somehow or another you've had a wake-up call, because you are now seeing this very, very differently to what you did before. You are being offered a new opportunity here, and I feel that you're still healing. So it may be that you are tossing up whether it's right for you or not, and I do feel the person who's coming in for you here has really great love for you, and they're going to teach you how to love yourself by teaching you your value. So what they're doing is they are role modeling their love for you, and through that you are starting to understand your own value. There's a real sense of someone wanting to work on something here, and it's like you've understood from your past mistakes, because you're manifesting something very, very beautiful. All right, let's have a look where you're up to. So something's completed. I feel like you have a lot of opportunities now, but because of your past, you're really worried about taking opportunities because you don't want to do the same thing again here. I feel here that you're learning the art of reciprocation because you're finding some sort of balance here. And I feel like here with this Eight of Cups, you're leaving things that do not serve you behind. You have the card of victory. So for some of you, this could be jobs or work, but I feel like the majority of people I'm speaking to, it's about you enduring things in relationships that you shouldn't be putting up with. And perhaps you're repeating the pattern because you're going in or welcoming in relationships at the beginning without recognizing the red flags. So if you're unsure about red flags, then read up on them. You could be bouncing with, narcissistic people, for example, but not understanding how a narcissist replicates you in order for you to fall in love with them, which always sort of fascinates me, because what that says to me is that you are worth falling in love with. Someone's had to pretend to be you so that you will fall in love with them. And that blows me away when I think of it that way. But what I see here is that you're still healing. I feel Spirit is saying to you, be kind to yourself. This new love that you're being offered here is incredibly beautiful. It's what you asked for. But don't sort of get too caught up in your own thinking and not realize how beautiful this is, and maybe observe what's happening. Six of Swords, Knight of Wands. Maybe you've ended up with, because you've got the Justice card here, so I feel like this has been very karmic for you. You've had to work off some karma here. This may not be karma that you've created. It could be karma you've brought with you from past lifetimes here. But you are moving away from an energy which looks like you could have been dealing with people who weren't really serious, maybe the player type, people that couldn't commit. But again, this could be your energy too. Maybe you found it hard to commit to people in the past and you've wanted a relationship, but you keep pulling in people who aren't right for you. But Six of Wands coming through. So there's a victory here. You're changing everything, Aries, by seeing what you've been doing and understanding the pattern you've been doing. And because of that, you're bringing in this beautiful new love, which is going to be something that's going to teach you how to love yourself in a relationship. Oop. Oh, there it is. Thunder. Oh, Imagine Dragons. 56. I feel like this next person is very well matched to you. When thunder comes into your reading, it refers to a big dramatic change that feels like a herd of wild bison on the run. You feel it right through your bones, and you know that you are powerless to influence whatever events have been set in motion. This is a time to be prepared for anything. Your life is an adventure and wonderful opportunities are arriving now. The trick is to learn to run with them. Qualities that you'll need now more than ever are flexibility, dexterity, and a willingness to experience it all without dictating from where or in what form opportunities will come. Your destiny is arriving. Be ready. So I feel like you're getting an opportunity at something that you haven't really experienced before. And because of this, I feel that you're being asked to just roll with the punches here. This person that's coming in really sounds like the type of person you've been looking for. Thanks, Aries.